You're listening to The Whole Truth, a Resources Rising Stars podcast.
Steve, Firefly has brokers' notes all over the country with some great price targets on them. Argonaut $1.45, Canaccord $1.40. They're all roughly about double the current share price. Do you feel like you got the weight of the world on your shoulders?
Not at all. I mean, it's a great project. When we bought the project, we could see there was a pathway to getting the share price up. And when we did the deal, it was originally 37 cents, and here we are now trading at sort of over double that. And obviously, there's a clear pathway to having a lot higher share price than what it is now, assuming that we deliver with the drill results. And with that last capital raising we did, we've got more drill rigs on site, which means more holes on the ground, which means value creation for the business. So it's great to see those price targets up there, and I'm sure we'll hopefully smash through those targets at some point in the near future.
Now these notes, these analyst notes, they come from people who've been to site. It's hard to recall more glowing reports from analysts on a company. Obviously, Firefly is very much the flavour of the day, as is copper. Although as we talk today, it's come off a little bit in the past week or so. But do you feel that there is a hunt among punters for a good copper stock?
Yeah, look, without a doubt. And I think one of the things about copper, there's probably a few answers to that one. One of the things about copper is that there's very little of it out there in the world which can come online quickly. There's some very big projects and difficult jurisdictions that require a lot of capital to get up and running. So if you've got a project that can deliver, meaningful tons of copper with a byproduct of gold like we've got, in a really good jurisdiction that can get up and running very, very quickly for low capital costs, it's sort of it does put us in the forefront. And so I think when funds and investors are out there looking for what to buy, companies such as like Firefly certainly would come to the top of the ladder there.
Now let's look at some of the things you're doing on the ground. The results you're generating have been absolutely spectacular. It's often an overused word in this industry, but 10% copper, 4 grams per tonne gold. I think spectacular is absolutely fair description in this case. Where is this going to? Every time you put out results, they seem to be of that order. Is it a bit like shooting fish in a barrel?
Well, there's definitely some low-hanging fruit, without a doubt. And, it always goes back to that sort of saying, grade is king, and it really is king. We're very fortunate, this ore body carries on. It's very consistent. The grade is spectacular. It's backed up as well with this big, broad footwall zone of, consistently 2% copper as well. But those high-grade zones are really good, and we've now stepped out. Well, would be close to almost half a kilometre step out on those high-grade lodes, and, they're carrying on. They're certainly looking like they're going to continue as well.
So you've mapped out all this high-grade mineralisation, as you say, well outside the current resource boundary. The resource stands at 811,000 tonnes of copper equivalent. Presumably, you're working on an upgrade to that.
Yeah, that's right. So the recent capital raising we undertook, it really sort of cashed us up to really hit this hard and get that shooting fish in the barrel, as you said, or low-hanging fruit. So we've currently got 2 drill rigs turning. A 3rd drill rig will be arriving any day now, 4th drill rig in July. And what that's going to do is literally just step out and grow that resource. So we'll come out with a resource update in sort of September, October of this year. And then we'll see another resource update coming out probably around about the end of the first quarter next year, start of the second quarter. And so you'll see 2 upgrades happening in the space of only a few months. And, that ore body is really consistent. The grade is extremely good, as we just talked about, and you've also got that big base footwall zone as well, bringing it in.
So have you closed it off? Nearly, as you say, nearly half a kilometre outside the resource envelope. How open is it?
I mean, this latest drill results that we put out, I mean, that 10% copper and the 4 grams gold that you just talked about, that's the last drill hole we've drilled, and it's completely open. So, those extra drill rigs stepping out and growing it from there, we expect this ore body to grow substantially over the next, 12, 18 months as we continue to drill.
Now, stepping away altogether from the resource, if you pardon the pun, Steve, you have mentioned there was a little whisper in one of the releases recently about some geophysics and the like. You've got a big land holding there. It's not just about the resource, is it? So is there potential for repeats of this system elsewhere on that footprint?
Yeah, 100%. And that's one of the things that drew us to the project. So it's already got a really good resource base there. As you said, almost 1 million tonnes of copper. We're growing that as we drill these holes with these 3 or 4 drill rigs. It'll be on site in the next week or two. But just around the mine itself, brownfields, no work's ever been done on that. So we see huge potential in getting the geophysics working, looking for conductors, high-grade mineralisation sitting right next to existing infrastructure. And then secondly, to step out and look around the regional, district as well. So we picked up a really big land holding. We're the biggest landholders in the district now. It's all those same volcaniclastic sediments. There's a whole bunch of targets on that historically, and we're about to kick off all the geophysics. So flying VTEM, flying gravity, we're flying aeromag as well, and we'll come up hopefully with some good targets to drill over the next few weeks and months.
So you're stuffing the pipeline full of new options, so that it's not just about drilling around the current resource, as good as that obviously is. It would really move the needle if you were to hit something far away, wouldn't it? Yeah,
that's exactly right. So game changing or step changing is the way that we like to think of it. So, it's that three-pronged attack, simple, straight, shooting fish in the barrel, as you said, stepping out and growing the resource, then looking around the mine itself, complete brownfields where no holes have ever been drilled before. And, the old saying of drilling under the head frame, you'll find more. And that's actually what we're going to be doing with that geophysics and downhole EM. And then thirdly, stepping out and looking on the district scale. And there's just literally no work has been done on that for, pretty much 100 years.
So what happens around the mine? When you bought this project, Steve, you said that it's got a lot of infrastructure. You've got a plant sitting there. Is this infrastructure of value to you, or is the project just getting too big for it?
Well, yeah, it's probably, you're right. It is. We are getting too big for what we've got there at the moment, but we already have $250 million worth of infrastructure sitting there. And of course, a lot of that is really crucial to us. So all the underground development, a lot of it's on 5.5 by 5.5 metre development, which means you can get big trucks up and down for haulage. We've got a shaft there that's a 6 metre by 3 metre shaft down to 650 metres vertical depth. So obviously you can get a lot of tonnes out of that. And then importantly, you've got hydropower running over the property as well. So the hydropower is about 6 cents a kilowatt hour, which is probably a quarter to a third of most power costs in Australia when it comes to mining. So, in theory, it should be bringing costs right down on that haulage as well. So, that infrastructure is set up, it's ready to go. We'll be utilising it. And of course, we just bought the port nearby to us as well. So only 5 kilometres away, we can export all of our concentrate out of that.
Now, it would be remiss of me if I didn't ask you about the subject matter of takeover targets. I mean, when you talk about all these results and the growing resource, the potential for repeats, there must be people sniffing around and having a look.
Oh, look, as I said at the start, I'm sure that there's probably lots of mining companies who would love to own this project. It is very rare to find, a copper gold project that's in a great jurisdiction, that's permitted, that's got infrastructure, that can be mined almost immediately, that's got scale, and it's got exploration upside. So I'm sure there's probably many a company that would love to own it, but hey, we're the ones that own it, and we're the ones who are going to be creating value for our shareholders.
Now, some of our listeners will recall this company, Firefly, came out of another company, or Teco, and so you still own the Pickle Crow gold project, which has sort of been sitting there in the background somewhat, probably in investors' minds at least. There's a lot of value in there, perhaps not so much in the share price, but certainly on the balance sheet. What's your plans for Pickle Crow?
Yeah, look, Pickle Crow is an amazing gold project. It would be probably one of the largest, highest grade undeveloped gold projects in a really good jurisdiction on the planet. It's just under 3 million ounces of gold at almost 7.5 grams per tonne gold. Excellent metallurgy. It's completely open, big land holding, old existing infrastructure. So in a perfect world, we'd love to be getting stuck into that as well. But, we can only deal with one project at a time, being a smaller company. So you're going to see in the second half of this year us looking at ways to create value for that. And you may see us looking to a way to try and sell that or bring some funds in to help fund the Green Bay copper gold project.
So there's some low-hanging fruit there as well.
Oh, look, without a doubt. And if we had extra capital, we'd love to be drilling it and growing it and doing it ourselves as well. So, as I said, it's probably one of the premier high-grade undeveloped gold projects in a really good jurisdiction on the planet.
So what happens over the next few months? You drill, you've got 4 rigs on the go here. What can we expect to see between now and sort of September, October?
Well, very simple. It's drill. It's creating value with the drill bit. This is what this project needs. So stepping out, growing it, getting the high-grade load extended, which we're proving already, the big base load as well, proving that, getting the geophysics done, showing there's more discoveries there, and creating value that way. And then next year, you're going to start to see some engineering discussions and pathway to production after that.
Steve, it's obviously a rare opportunity on the ASX, a copper stock in a tier 1 jurisdiction with a substantial resource base and all the growth you've just outlined. So really, it's hard to see how it's not ticking every box from an investor's perspective. You're driving it. You're well known for getting on the front foot and getting out and talking to people, telling them what you've got and what you're up to. You're off to Diggers and Dealers in August. I suspect you're going to be one of the most keenly heard stories in the stage.
Well, I'd like to think so. We've a lot going on, and I mean, if you've sort of followed the things we've done in the past, and Bellevue and how we went about doing that, when we raise money, which is what we just did with Firefly, it really is about getting extra drill rigs out there, turning those drill rigs, getting that news flow happening, and showing the project what it's actually got and what it can deliver on. And if you can show that pathway to production with low capital costs and and hopefully low operating costs as well, which I think this will have with its hydropower as well, it should get some good momentum. So I'd imagine over the next sort of 6-12 months, we should get a lot of interest in Firefly.
Fantastic. Steve, thanks for your time, and we look forward to the next lot of results.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
You've been listening to The Whole Truth, a Resources Rising Stars podcast, produced by Resource Media, hosted by Paul Armstrong for Reed Corporate. Please note that Reed Corporate does not provide investment advice, and investors should seek personalised advice before making any investment decisions.